Yeah.
It seems like it's more interesting. Members of the public, if you wish to speak on item number 2, general public comments, please use the raise hand feature on Zoom or submit a or to the clerk. You will have 2 minutes to speak. We have 3 hands raised. We'll begin with Paul Bocanegra. You may speak when you are ready.
Good evening to everyone here on this committee. My name is Paul Bocanegra. I live in Redwood City, California, just about a mile and a half down from the McGuire jail. Many of you know my story. I'm a survivor of the school to prison pipeline. I was condemned in the 11th grade to life without parole, plus 4 years for a crime I didn't commit under the felony murder law. Since coming home, I have actively served. Every portion of my life is serving the community. And today I want to raise my concern regarding the recent events in our jail. There was recently a 15-person riot, a 30-person riot. I'm receiving phone calls from community members, the parents of incarcerated community members telling me that there's mass casualties in here. And then recently, another jail death. This is extremely concerning, and this is not even a maximum security prison. And these things are happening right a mile and a half from many of our schools. I believe an independent inspector general needs to be put in place now. Things continue to deteriorate every day in our jail, and these are our taxpayers' dollars that are supposed to be providing a healthy and safe environment to community members who are struggling, many of them not even convicted of crimes, and they're dying at an alarming rate here in our jail. We also need to work on empowering staff by supporting them, by hiring the needed staff to be able to operate all of the services that are required by our United States and California Constitution. One of them, mail to religious services. Religious services are what kept me alive for 25 and a half years, and I'm just really concerned, and I ask that this committee do something about this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next public comment. We have Bill Newell. You may begin when you're ready.
First off, I just want to once again thank the Independent Advisory Commission for Civilian Oversight. These are turbulent times on so many levels, but I want to thank you, your advisory commission. You are the searchlight right now in our community. For the closest thing we have to oversight, and I commend you and want to support you as you go forward. I want to point out that we continue to need an independent inspector general, as the ICAC has already recommended, and we need oversight. So many things have happened in the office of the sheriff recently that it just cries out for oversight. Yet another death in the jail, and associated other things that Paul just mentioned. I also want to take this moment to bring attention to the life of Shenadu Okobi, who was being remembered this week in the passing of his life 7 years ago at the hands of the San Mateo County Sheriff's deputies. Shenandoah was a father, a son, a brother, a friend, a poet, and a San Mateo County resident whose life was tragically cut short. We will honor his memory and recommit ourselves to the pursuit of justice, equity, and healing in our community. And Shenandoah's death on the event of that was probably one of the more precipitating events that Vixen came together on shortly after that. So again, once again, I want to honor his memory and thank you again for all that you are doing, and know that you have the support of your community behind you. If you want to call on us for any way we can help you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Testing? Great, thank you. Okay, next speaker will be X. You may begin when you're ready.
Yes, I am glad this time around you included my entire written comment, which was not included in the September 3rd packet where I originally submitted it. I encourage everybody to go online. Part of the agenda is a written public comment section, and read my comment and ask yourself why Kalima is either being dishonest, disingenuine, or flat out lying about the reason that Marco Durazo is no longer on this commission. At the end of the comment that I submitted last month, I included an email that I sent Kalima on September 10th, which she was stupid enough to answer, and which further cements my belief that she is being dishonest, because at the April meeting, after months of Durazo not being here, she claims that she announced that he was no longer on the commission. She was removing him according to the bylaws of missing 3 meetings. However, I don't think she's in charge of that issue. That would be the county attorney or the board of supervisors are the ones that replace it, because as we know, Jackie Spears has now replaced him, and I don't think Kalima had anything to do with it. So the question is, if this commission is supposed to be transparent and honest, why is she not being honest and transparent about what transpired and the reason that she either lied or made a stupid statement at the end of the April meeting in regards to why Durazo is no longer here? And if anybody wants more information, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And that concludes public comment.
So, okay, so you're moving on our agenda now to, unless anyone has any changes, motion to approve. Second.
So moved.
Second.
There we go. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Our next item is the motion to approve the minutes of September 3rd. Unless there's any changes, can I get a motion to approve our minutes?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
I'll second for purpose of moving the motion, but I'm going to abstain since I wasn't at the meeting.
All right. We don't know what's going on with our audio. Excuse us. Okay. 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 Might see if we can fix that. All right, motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any abstains?
Aye.
Any noes? All right, moving on to our next item is to welcome and introduce our newest member from Jackie Supervisor Spears District, Dr. Reginald Duhay. And so I will now give you the floor if you just want to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you and why you're joining the commission.
Rule number 1. Well, thank you all for the invitation and the introduction. I am, again, Reginald Dewey, but my friends call me Reggie, okay? And I say all of you all are my friends, so Reggie from now on, okay? Millbrae resident, 25 years. I moved there because I married into Millbrae. I thought I'd only be there for 2 years, and it's been 25 years. So it's been a long time. Bay Area resident, Bay Area native all my life. Oakland, Berkeley, San Jose, my entire life. I think this is the best place on earth. Don't want to. Spent many years in Silicon Valley, and in the last, 15 years, I've been in the classroom. I'm a professor at UC Berkeley and at Santa Clara University. And looking forward to this, A few years after the death of George Floyd, I just got re-energized in community work and interested in the community of Millbrae. And so I was really attracted to this job description, and I decided to apply, and I'm very happy that Jackie Spear selected me. So thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else has any other comments? Okay, great. Moving on, our next item.
Have a public comment.
Oh, we do have public comment. I'm sorry.
Okay, members
public
of the public, if you wish to speak on item number 5, please use the raise hand feature on Zoom or bring a speaker slip up to the clerk. X, you may begin when you're ready.
Yes, I'd like to welcome Reggie, who is a founding member of Millbrae BLM, something he failed to acknowledge, which when that acronym was no longer tasteful, they changed it to Millbrae ARC, which is actually a race baiting organization, because if you disagreed with the premise that only Black Lives Mattered and said all lives matter, Reggie called you names, including rude, disgusting, not uncivil. This is a man with very shallow ability to tolerate other viewpoints. And so I could see the reason that he's on this commission, going back to the death of the person in Millbrae that got confrontational and punched female sheriff in the face before his death when he was tased. There's only one right answer, and it's always bad sheriff, good Black person or minority. And it's really sad because I don't feel that his addition to this board is going to really open up productive discussions and transparency. It's more like another person, just like Kali Ma, who claims that whenever she hears that somebody has died in police custody, that's a minority, she eats. It's a really sad situation that this commission has taken this turn for the worse, and it's obviously not unbiased and therefore will not be a productive addition to this community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We do have one more hand raised. Pablo Canegra, you may begin when you're ready.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone here on this honorable commission once again. I want to thank Dr. Reginald Dewey for taking on this very difficult task. For some reason, when we speak of transparency and oversight, it sends alarm bells through certain unions. The role that you are going to play here is a very important role. You are the conduit between the community and the things that we began discussing, such as the violence, the death that continue to go on with our tax dollars in our institutions where people are supposed to be housed safely and receiving the services that they need so that when they re-enter our community, they're able to keep up with the rest of San Mateo County. So welcome to this commission, and thank you again for your service, Dr. Dewey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, we do have 2 more hands
it's okay.
raised.
Go
I
ahead.
apologize.
You don't need to apologize.
So we have Bill Newell, you may begin when you're ready, and then last one will be Elsa Schaefer. Bill Newell?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, I wasn't sure. I couldn't find the unmute button. Sorry. Yes, I too want to welcome Dr. Dewey to the commission. As I said before, this is a very important body in our community that to date has done some really great work, taken some steps to provide oversight information in terms of being the ones that are asking the questions right now. You are the body, the eyes and the ears for our community right now as we try to improve the office of the sheriff. So again, I want to thank you, Dr. Dewey, for joining the commission. You sound like you have a good background for becoming part of this group, and I applaud you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
The last speaker is Elsa Schaefer. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you. I too am grateful to have now the full complement again of commissioners on this important commission. I am grateful because he joins the crew that has looked into such important issues, including as was mentioned earlier, too many deaths and bad physical situations in the jail itself. And I'd love to see the elevator fixed sooner rather than later. Even December sounds far off to me. Or to have one of the other elevators be able to put in use for visitors, and to have physical birthday cards and anniversary cards and whatever else able to be sent directly to inmates so that they can put them on their wall, put them under their pillow, and have that warmth and comfort of someone at home, even though that person can't touch them or hug them. To be able to have to engender that memory is just so valuable and so level setting, so emotionally peaceful, that I really think all of us can relate to the ability to bring warmth and softening to somebody who's in a very difficult situation that way. So thank you and welcome to the full commission. We look forward to all of the decisions coming up and the recommendations. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
No, that concludes public comment.
Go ahead, Adam.
Dr. Dewey, on behalf of the County Executive's Office, we wanted to welcome you as well and let you know that we have spent a good bit of time with each of the commission members, orienting them a bit to Brown Act body meetings, how those function, the operations of the jail, which included some tours, and we're going to offer the same opportunity to you at your convenience so that you can be as up to speed as your fellow committee members. Yes.
Thank you. So unless there's anything else, I'm going to move on to the next item, which is our informational on the religious services at the correctional facilities, and I'm turning it over to the Sheriff's Office. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is Captain William Fogarty with the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office.
I'm Melissa Wagner. I'm the Jail Program Services Manager with the Sheriff's Office.
And we're ready to get started with the presentation. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer those questions at the end. I'm going to be talking about what we've prepared for you today, which is some changes we've made in religious services for the people who are incarcerated in our facility. You can go ahead. If you can go ahead. Thank you very much. So in early September, we launched a brand new webpage on our website to go ahead and share information that we are providing to people in the public, so everyone has an opportunity to see what is available to us and to them within the facilities. We put up a QR code. I encourage you to go ahead and scan that. I believe it's also in your packet, so you'll be able to look at it as well later on. If you can go to the next page. Among the things we have listed are the religious services that are provided within our community. And our community are the people who are serving in the correctional facilities. In addition to that, we've done a survey of the people who are incarcerated with us to find out what denominations they belong to or what denominations they claim. And we also have tried to provide providers for them as well. So that way we have a well-rounded approach. We can go to the next page.
So over the last many months, we've been listening to the commission here with Fixing and other members of the public about the scheduling and the availability for providers to go in and serve the incarcerated population. And together we have developed a very expanded schedule. We have launching this month in early October, 226 time slots every week. 64 currently at McGuire and 162 at Maple Street. There will be an opportunity to serve the IPs every day, 7 days a week. We have both daytime and evening hours. If you can advance, please.
So among the services that we provide, as some of you may be aware, there's Ramadan that takes place. We make sure that people will have the opportunity to go ahead and participate in Ramadan, prepare meals for them. In addition to that, we have prayer rugs that are available anytime. We also have religious readings such as Bibles, prayers, and other materials, both digital format as well as in a hard copy, which you'll see very shortly. We also offer times to meet with religious providers. We do perform baptisms and weddings. I can tell you as being a witness in a wedding before that we actually are there and we're able to participate in it as well to help out our community. And then also we offer grief counseling sessions, which obviously is really important, especially in the current situation. I'm very happy to tell you that we had a chaplain who's inside our facility at Maple Street today to help the people who are incarcerated with us. And that was something that was taken on by Melissa to make sure we had someone available, so that someone was available to talk to people, because we are greatly concerned about not only our staff, but also people who are housed with us as well. If you don't mind, to the next slide. So we have heard a lot of what Fixon said, and we tried to accommodate a lot of what they've requested. Part of it is to make sure there are in-person services. So I'm very happy to report, as Melissa has already said, there are 226 time slots that are now available between both facilities. What that means is, as Fixon has asked for, we offer people the opportunity to sign up for specific dates and times continuously. So they can pick a pod, they can pick a location they want to go to, so that way they can have and build that relationship that, again, Fixon asked for. We also heard the question about whether or not reading materials were provided and whether or not what format it was. So what we did is we have it both on our digital tablets that are available, in addition to actual hard copies. Those are photos that I took from inside our facility. You see we have both the Quran, Holy Bible. We also have other books that are available as well. And I can also tell you that if some incarcerated person asks for some other document, we will make sure to have it available for them, as long as it's a recognized religion, and go forward and make sure it's available for them anytime. And we can do that both digitally as well as in a hard copy as well. Next slide, please.
So we're excited to have the expanded schedule. What we do need from you is partnership to ensure that currently we have approximately 100 volunteers, and we really, really encourage them to sign up for their particular day and time, or more than one. The people who have signed up so far represent only less than 20% of everybody. And so we still, although the schedule is very early, we still do not have enough people for the 226 slots. But what is really encouraging is the regular providers that now that they can pick their specific day, specific housing unit, is really important, because they're able to build their group. And as they do so, every time they come, the numbers increase, and the men and women really look forward to that. So with that, we really encourage you to reach out to Where You Worship or other spiritual groups. Our partner with the Service League, they are actively recruiting, as they always do. What they have learned recently is many places of worship simply do not have enough people to serve all of the locations. So we really depend on everybody to get the word out and to go onto the website. The information for who to contact at the Service League is on the website, and they can get you started, and you can pick the correct day and time for you to come. We also, in this fall, this will be the second time we do a survey of our incarcerated population to see all the different denominations. We presented in April, the last survey, so we can certainly push that information out to the commission when we have that. And next slide, please. So as I mentioned, we have about 100 faith-based providers. with the ability for them to come and develop their groups, we anticipate that the additional days and times will slowly start filling up. And Captain Fogarty will discuss the badging in just a moment. But we think that with the feedback from the Service League Religious Subcommittee, with this group here and with Fixin, we really hope to see the improvement in the services that have been discussed over the past year. Service League did report that in the last year, their ordering of Bibles increased from 600 to 2,000. So although that is just one religious text, I emphasize that specific increase to demonstrate that the men and women have access to hard copies, to the tablet. And also we have made available on each housing unit a permanent copy to stay. In case somebody has just been moved into a housing unit and may not have their religious text yet, they can receive that from the housing officer and then go into the religious group so that we don't want people to be without.
Next slide, please. Thank you. I also want to discuss some of the limitations with what we're trying to work with, trying to provide religious services. One of them is the physical design of the facility. The McGuire Correctional Facility was built for an era that has obviously since passed. I think the Sheriff's Office did a great job redesigning correctional facilities with the opening of the Women's Correctional, Maple Street Correctional Center, which also houses the women. That if you look at the different classroom style, I literally took a photograph from our multi-purpose room. The multi-purpose room is used for a variety of services, of which you can actually see to the left all the services that we're trying to get accomplished day and night. On the right-hand side is a separate classroom that is actually completely different in Maple Street. And each one of the locations in Maple Street has 2 of those classrooms, actually 3 of those classrooms on each one of the pods or each one of the floors, which is 3 floors. So there are a number of spaces to get people together. It's a obviously great programming facility. And I think that that's obviously one of my challenges is trying to balance all this out. So I heard again from Fixing about how they would really like to have opportunities to go during the middle of the day and be able to, move freely without the facility. What I need to say is, unfortunately, we have a lot, well, fortunately, but also unfortunately, to try and facilitate that, we're trying to engage in a lot of services that have never really been done before. So as an example, now coming on to each one of the pods, we had Sheriff's Office programming, which was already in existence, but it's now it's greater than we had before. We also have the private defender program, which now comes onto the pods before people go to court to help facilitate their early release when they appear in front of court. We also have the correctional health, who now is coming to each one of the floors. Usually there are 3 to 4 nurses going floor to floor. Obviously, we can't have people coming out when a nurse is trying to discuss private things with those people who are incarcerated. And again, that's one of the challenges of McGuire versus Maple Street, where we don't have a room for them except for in one area. We also have Service League, who's trying to provide Bibles and trying to provide other services that are available to people. We also have probation services, who's meeting with people to try and go ahead and facilitate their release and to go ahead and get a pre-sentencing report. We also have pretrial conferences that are going on with attorneys. Sometimes they need to go to the pods. Sometimes they're also trying to meet in the visitation rooms. There's also laundry we're trying to go ahead and pass out because we do provide laundry to people. We change it out every week. And so we're trying to get that accomplished. And then there's commissary, which is the other thing, is trying to make sure people have opportunities to go ahead and get what they would like to have within our facility as well. So over in McGuire, we're trying to facilitate all those services with one multi-purpose room on each one of the pods. It's exceptionally challenging. And I don't know how better to say that. In Maple Street, it was again designed with this idea already in purpose. So there's already a room that's separate off of the main area where medication and commissary can be given out. So we're not seeing those same challenges. Again, it was a great design by the people who were working on it at the time that they developed it. And it was lessons learned from McGuire, which is obviously from an era back in the 90s when obviously people who were incarcerated, we had a completely different way of facilitating when they're in custody. If you don't mind going to the next. I also want to just emphasize, we do a dangerous job. And I think everyone is aware of the fact of what happened last Friday. And I need to let you know that it is a completely changing landscape from the way things used to be in the 90s, early 2000s, and even during 2020, when obviously COVID ended up impacting us like everyone else, where people didn't come into custody. We now have people coming to custody who are coming to us from state prison because of the different propositions where people are serving up to 5 years within our custody. People also appealing a lot of charges. And so what ends up happening, they come back from state prison to our people where they're being housed in. So in addition to the people who are awaiting pre-sentencing, they're also awaiting resentencing as well. And so while some of those people are incredible, we have great trustees who do a lot of work for us and help us facilitate what needs to get done. There are also people who are unfortunately people who want to do harm to people because they don't care. And unfortunately, that's the challenges we're now having. If you look at the improvised weapons that are over there, we have recovered all of those. If you look at what they are different pieces of metal. They are bent and broken from different items that they have access to, whether or not it's a metal brace that correctional health provides to them, that yes, we've already addressed and tried changing it to plastic, but plastic is the same thing as a metal weapon. It still will end up injuring people. We also see that they're taking plastic gloves and using them as an improvised device as a handle. And I think you see there, this is what we're facing on a daily basis, which is why we do checks and safety checks. Unfortunately, their job is to try and protect themselves or to go ahead and figure out a way to protect themselves, which I don't think they personally need. And our job is to catch them every single time. And so all it takes is one bad time and it makes things very challenging. I'm happy to tell you that in the incident last Friday, no improvised weapons were used at all. So I am happy to report that. If you don't mind, the next slide. Are there any questions and answers I may be able to provide?
I can open it up now for our commissioners to ask questions, or do you want to wait until after public? Oh, I see Rebecca. Go ahead.
I just have a question for clarification. The 220 time slots, how much time is in each time slot?
1 hour.
It's 1 hour.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any public? Oh,
Yeah, I
sorry.
have
Go ahead, Jay.
couple questions.
Yep.
Thank you for the presentation and information. In regards to the time slots, 1 hour long, could you share how many more hours have been added? It seems like there's been a change in schedule. Has there been more hours added to the schedule?
We can bring that information back and have it distributed. We did not take the before number. It was much more limited than it is now, 226.
Second, when we're talking about these hours, are these individual hours for one incarcerated person?
These are to hold religious or other spiritual groups, to have circle, to have Bible study. So it's a group setting.
Okay. Is it possible to, because I see you saying there's challenges with finding different denominations and volunteers. Is it possible to have set times for certain denominations to come in so folks will know and then they can participate in that?
I would be happy to arrange it. I think part of that is working with our partners at Service League to schedule people appropriately. I'm also, I will tell you, I'm a little hesitant because I want to make sure Fixin has an opportunity to make sure that the people that have come to them to say that they want to be opportunities to meet and build those relationships. So I think that that's a partnership with Fixin and ourselves and Service League to build out what that schedule looks like. But absolutely, we would be more than happy to do that.
Good, thank you.
Well, I have another question. I'm really pleased that you're doing this, that you've got more slots. Will the people have to be escorted, every single person, or are you going to allow them to have their clearance and walk into the jail?
Well, so first of all, we do allow clearances to let people walk in the jail. However, I need to say that we provide escorts. I think that that's what the current status is escorts. I need to tell you that right now, and this is, I'll be quite honest, during the incident that occurred on Friday, there was a religious service provider who was actually on the pod when it actually ended up happening. So I will tell you that I want to make sure people are safe. And so for the time right now, I'm going to continue to have escort. What I am more than happy to say is I'm willing to reevaluate it after this incident has taken place and after we have a chance to review what works and what doesn't work, to take a look at what we can do to allow people more and greater access.
Thank you. Well, first, thank you for the presentation. If you could pull up the slide that talked about the recommendations that you all would want. And, you know, my question basically is, how can this commission help you, involving these religious services? Like, is there something that we need to forward to the Board of Supervisors as a recommendation? And I saw you had some up there. Is it maybe soliciting more religious groups to get involved? Or, as I said, for our commission to help your facility to be successful relative to these religious services. So that's what I would want to see from your group. Thank you.
Absolutely. I cannot emphasize enough what Melissa said, that we need your help. And part of your help is soliciting people to help participate in the services. We want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to go ahead and receive the services that they're entitled to. And part of that is all of you helping contribute to that, recruiting people. And I'll be quite honest, I reached out to Fix It and actually involved Deacon McCall, I think it was, to ask her to help participate as well, because she was here at the commission. I heard her concerns. I have already reached out and emailed her to let her know that we would welcome her to be a participant of this group. I encourage her to. I think it also gives a lot of opportunity for transparency so that people see what actually is happening within our facility. Because I will tell you, having worked in a correctional facility for quite some time, there's a lot of rumors that get started, and some of them aren't true. And I heard, a speaker earlier talk about it's a multi-casualty. I will tell you, I got phone calls from people who I would have expected to talk to me before they started talking to other people, and tell you it was people who were injured, yes, but there's no one who passed away. And that was one of the rumors that got started. And so I encourage people to come see for themselves. And so to your point, Commissioner, I would like to see all of you help me recruit people. Help me recruit every denomination you can think of to see that they participate. And let them know that they can go to both facilities, both McGuire and in Maple Street. Because I think one of my challenges is trying to get people to go to McGuire, because people would rather work in a facility that's already built for program services. It's easier than I think going to a facility that's a little older and a little more challenging to get to.
Thank you. Okay.
Members of the public, if you wish to speak on item number 6, please use the raise hand feature on Zoom or bring a speaker slip up to the clerk. We have one speaker slip, Nancy Goodman. You can come up to the podium. You have 2 minutes to speak.
So I'm Nancy Goodman with Fix It San Mateo County. I live in Redwood City, and welcome, Reggie. I wanted to speak and basically say thank you to Melissa and also to Captain Fogarty for everything that they've done in the last couple of months to respond to the concerns from the community. And I want to make clear it's not just Fixin'. We do have a small group of faith providers, attorneys, advocates, groups like Silicon Valley Debug are active in that group, talking to the family. So it means so much that you guys have done all this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Moving on to Zoom public comments, we have one hand raised. Ana Ramirez, you may begin when you're ready.
Thank you. I hope that you all can hear me okay.
Yes,
Hi, thank you. Hi, this is Ana Ramirez. I'm a community organizer with Silicon Valley Debug. And as Nancy shared, right, we are part of the group that's also having discussions and conversations connecting with the community about the concern with regards to access to religious services. And I also do definitely want to say thank you for some of the changes that have been highlighted today by the sheriff and the other person that was sharing also part of the presentation. But I think that, one concern that comes up on my end, and I know it was kind of discussed in some of the Q&A, is that even though you may have volunteers that are ready to support and provide that religious service to incarcerated folks, the escorting process brings up a little bit of a concern, right? Because we know that there's obviously like budget and personnel issues that make it a little bit difficult to not only arrange, but have someone be able to escort a volunteer every time. And so that brings us to the same issue of, how do we provide people the services that they're seeking, especially when we know that access to religious services is really important for people to build a community of hope while they're incarcerated. And so I just want to raise that issue, and hopefully it seems like there's an openness to work around this. So I just wanted to echo that, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. There are no more public comment.
So I just had a few quick questions. Is there any requirements for the volunteers that if we do the call out, do they need to have any specific skills or?
So one of the things we need to do is make sure that they put forth their paperwork to pass a geo clearance. We also need to know who comes in our facility. In addition to that, PRE is a federal law that requires people to be aware of what the requirements are of anybody who comes into our correctional facility. And again, Anna Zursky, whose information was posted there from Service League, will be more than happy to help walk everyone through the process. There's also needs to be a safety presentation to make people aware of what people are allowed to bring in and what they're not allowed to bring in, and also to try and make sure that they're going to be safe while they're inside our facility.
And then for the escort, has it been problematic to staff the number of escorts with the expansion of the slots?
So we have not actually seen an issue or a challenge at this point. And I will tell you that that's something obviously I'm gonna be looking at. And that's part of why I said I would need a little more time to decide on maybe changing the classification until I see what challenges there are and what's being successful.
And are there any specific denominations that you would want us to like reach out to first? Like there's a big gaps in specific denominations, or is it really across the board?
It is really across the board. However, if you look at our webpage, it actually gives the different denominations.
Okay.
And I'll be quite honest with you, look, I'm more than happy to get everyone any service that they can be provided with. We just need people to help provide services. And I know it's challenging with COVID. And now coming out of COVID, I also know it's challenging for people not wanting to come into correctional facilities. But when we're talking about ministry, I think that this is exceptionally important. I advocate for people to help participate in part of the process.
And lastly, I just want to also extend my thanks to the work that you both have done together and to fill the gap in this issue, and to provide more services. And it kind of makes my heart feel a little warm because I don't have a lot of free time and I dedicate my time here, and it has been a bit frustrating. So it's nice to see that positive things are coming out of it and that change is happening, even though it is slow and may be frustrating for people. Things are getting better in some areas. So thank you all for working together in the effort in this area.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And yes, go ahead.
Just one more thing, just alternative methods. I mean, there's still lots of folks, and you mentioned folks not wanting to come in for various reasons and COVID and stuff. There's still lots of folks that are practicing online. Is that something that is done currently? Folks having access to online services as well?
So they have access to religious services as far as materials, not actually like a Zoom or something. I think that's what you're asking for.
That is exactly what I'm asking.
So I gotta tell you that that's actually something that's been discussed several times. What I want to do is I want to make sure that when we're going to do that, it's offered to everybody with every denomination, because I don't want someone to say, well, if this person got it, then I should be able to get it as well. It's also a question of making sure you have the bandwidth for the tablets and to make sure that people are not going to end up impacted, because part of what I'm also trying to balance is visitation because of how many people there are. So I'm more than happy to be willing to open to that.
Yeah.
We need to make sure we have the infrastructure available to it before we start offering it.
But one thing you said is fairness. Now, there's some folks who have access in person and others that don't. So that wouldn't be fair. So why would it be different to not have certain denominations online and not
think-
let other people have?
I think everyone has access.
No. What you just said is you wanted to make sure it was fair, if I heard you correctly.
Right.
So, you wanted to make sure that all denominations are online, so it's a fair access.
That's correct, sir. I want to make sure everyone online has access, just like in person. I want to make sure everyone has access.
Right, but everyone doesn't have access right now because all of these denominations are not coming to the facility. So why would you not want to further look at having access online to those who are available and when it's available?
So just to clarify something, number one, I want every denomination represented.
I'm not doubting that. But it just seemed it was, unless I heard it differently. It sounded like you would wait to make sure all denominations were covered online before you would look into making that available to folks that are in custody. That's what it sounded like to me. I could have heard it wrong.
Point of clarification. I think what the captain meant is that there's bandwidth for the equipment to go to every single housing unit so that all inmates have access regardless of what denomination they're engaging with. So perhaps you heard it the other way, but it's important in a correctional facility that access is given to everyone, everywhere, no matter where they're housed.
I totally get the
Yeah.
bandwidth aspect.
Yeah.
But it sounded like it came out differently.
I
And
apologize.
it sounds like you heard that too.
I apologize if that's the way you heard it. I'm also going to ask if I'm going to answer a question. Can you please let me finish that question? Because I want to make sure I answer it correctly. And I'm sorry, that's just, I want to give you the respect that you deserve, just like I'd ask if I could please go ahead
I
and
asked
finish
you-
my
I
comment
asked
right
you-
now, please.
Actually, a couple of times, and I did give you the opportunity.
Well, I just want to take it down just a notch. I understood what you meant. I understood what you meant, James. And I think the answer being more that it's not, it's a infrastructure issue, not so much. So everybody has access to the room.
So my question wasn't answered then. He was answering a different question.
Yeah, no, I
Maybe
I
he
get
didn't
that.
understand my question. and I
Yes.
did give you multiple opportunities to answer my question.
Mhm.
And I was trying to clarify it so you understood it.
Mhm.
So forgive me if I interrupted you.
Thank you. Thank you. So I think we've answered the question. Everything's good. Are there any other questions? No? Okay, thank you so much. Okay. So the next item on discussion is 7, an update for deaths in custody in the sheriff's office task force. So turning it back again to the sheriff's office.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dan Pereira, the Undersheriff for the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office. Dr. Duhay, welcome. Since the last meeting, we had a request from Commissioner Melanco to have a meeting with members of the committee. And what's in the works right now is the Sheriff's Office is going to create a presentation that addresses the policies, the procedures, and basically just gives a general overview of what happens, what the sheriff's office responsibilities are when there's an in-custody death. Actually had a conversation with the commissioner a little earlier today and reminded me that in addition to asking people from the sheriff's office to be present at that meeting, that we're going to ask for a representative of the DA's office to come there and kind of give the same information. So it's clear what the different responsibilities and roles are for everybody who's involved. Excuse me. So that is the update. I'm an optimist. I hope that presentation can be created by next week, but I think the week of the 12th, as I discussed with the commissioners a little earlier, might be more realistic and give everyone an opportunity to coordinate our schedule so we can have an in-person meeting, which I think would be, I hope will be helpful.
Open it up for questions. I know we have our 2 reps. I don't know if you had any questions on that first, tossing it over to you two.
Madam Chair, I have some questions about the in-custody death just recently.
Yes, I know. Nothing? Yeah, I know. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, I guess just my question is who needs to be in the room for this gathering? Is this something that the sheriff has to be a part of, or is it something that could be delegated to other members of staff so that the work can get started and it can get going?
Thank you for the question, Commissioner. Yeah, and that is a very good point. I'm sure the sheriff and I will be present for the presentation, but in terms of the work, there are people in the Corrections Bureau and in other places who certainly have more experience than I do and are very well informed. So they will be the folks that will lead all that, or the presentation. They'll be a better source of information than I think that I would be.
Go ahead, Rob.
Just, I have a few questions if my other commission members want to start first. I have no issue with that. Okay, I'm up. Okay, thank you. Under Sheriff, we have series of schedules that are here that represent not only McGuire, but Maple Street. And this current death that was in McGuire, which shift was it that was the actual shift that was present during the fighting? Do you have these?
Present during the fighting, which fighting?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find out. Which shift? Oh, okay. Okay. Well, the news release that we got here,
Yeah, so it wasn't a.
it was, well, it says fight.
There's two different, yeah, so just clarification on. Yeah.
All right,
So just
let me
make sure-
clarify what I have. Oh, okay. The fight first, and then and then the other one. Oh, okay, thank you. Yes, so I'm first talking about the fight at McGuire Correctional Facility, which we have the shift schedules here. And which shift was it relative to the correctional facility at McGuire, the fight occurred? Do you have that?
Yeah, because whenever I see a laptop over here, I just want to make sure that we're not going out of scope. Are we okay? Is
Does
it-
he have these? I'm making the assumption that he had them before the meeting, that's all.
Yeah. So the agenda item is on the task force. So maybe the question is, are they going to discuss it at the task force meeting?
Well, it says here, update the deaths in custody Sheriff's Office Task Force.
Right, so are they, I think to put in, is this something that's going to be discussed at the task force meeting?
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out. if
Yeah,
it
so-
was.
I'm just add that to the question. I'm
Was
just
it?
gonna add it to the question for you. Is this something that'll be discussed at the task force meeting?
Mhm. The fight, yes.
Well, because that's not a death.
So the fight was it? Okay. Is it already, if I go into the in custody death?
That's the agenda item.
Yeah, is it all right if I go forward then to continue my
Yes,
question?
but as long as if asking the questions and what's in the realm of the task force.
In the realm where it says in custody death, isn't this part of our agenda?
Yes, but the agenda is for the deaths in custodies, a sheriff's office task force.
Well, isn't this part of our meeting right here? Is this that we got
Yeah, do you have?
as a reference? So it would be
Yes.
part of our agenda, right?
Yes, you can ask the undersheriff a question about the news release as it pertains to the committee that he's setting up.
Right.
Yeah, on the deaths, on the in custody death.
That's what I'm asking. I'm asking the different, maybe requirements relative to the in custody death and some of the questions relative to we have a coroner's office in our county that's separate. We have a DA's office that's separate. And of course, we have the sheriff's office that's separate. Okay, so it says here, personnel with the district attorney's office, San Mateo coroner's office, and the sheriff's investigations bureau were notified and responded. So what I'm trying to find out, who has the ultimate responsibility to prepare the final report? It would be the coroner's office, correct?
Are you asking me?
Well, I'm asking whoever is over there at that table over there. That's what I'm trying to find out.
So I guess it sort of depends on, yes, the coroner's office will do an investigation. The district attorney's office does an investigation. I believe they're doing it in tandem with the sheriff's office. Ultimately, it's the responsibility of the sheriff's office to report certain facts about the death in custody to the attorney general's office and to make certain information publicly available on its website.
Is there a coroner's inquest that's made of this?
I can't personally answer that. Perhaps the undersheriff could.
Well, I mean, usually that's the protocol where if there's an in custody death, that it's usually coroner has some type of a coroner's inquest. And then the investigation, it says that they're all three agencies, but what I'm trying to find out is who has the ultimate responsibility, number one. Is it the coroner's office? There's a coroner's inquest. Two, is it the responsibility of the DA's office to come up if there are any criminal or any type of behavioral situations that resulted in this death? That's what I'm trying to find out.
Undersheriff, do you want to answer or do you want me to answer? Yeah, so they're going to work together, is my understanding, to make whatever inquiries are appropriate. So the coroner's office is going to do their investigation. And then the district attorney's office always participates in investigations, but
Well, there's been 7 deaths, and what I'm trying to find out here, since 2023, there's been 7 deaths, and I'm trying to find out the aspect of one, who has the ultimate responsibility to present these facts and circumstances to the community ourselves. Now, I understand that it's a collective investigative tool, but who makes the final determination? Is it the coroner's inquest or the coroner's office? Or is it the DA that makes no criminal charge or says it was a behavioral type situation? It appears not to be a natural death. I mean, there's 7 that have been since 2003, and I'm just trying to find out if there's a way that these things can be controlled or not.
so it's
And one, if they have the sufficient amount of staffing on hand that can watch these prisoners and stuff, and whatever type of recommendations that the undersheriff and the captain can make to our commission, where we could forward these recommendations to the Board of Supervisors. So that's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, your question goes beyond the scope of what I can answer, but the coroner's office is responsible for determining cause of death. The DA's office is going to determine whether criminal charging is appropriate. And the sheriff's office is responsible for filling out certain paperwork and sending it to the attorney general's office and posting certain information on its website. Those are state law requirements. And they're working together.
Well, then who's responsible for this individual's death?
So 1 second, Rob. I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to figure out.
I'm trying to figure out the ultimate responsibility as to,
Well, I'm right here. I'm talking.
that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to figure out who's responsible
Yes,
with this. That's what and there's been 7.
right, but when
I
you
mean,
say
it's not like it's an accident, that's
Right.
someone slipped and fell. I mean,
no, we get all,
Yeah.
I understand that, but when you say you're trying to find out who's responsible or what happened with that particular incident,
and I'm trying to find out what the sheriff's office can make recommendations to this commission where we can help them in their plight. So these incidences don't happen.
great.
Is it staffing? Is it because the elevators don't work?
Right.
I mean, I'm trying to get the recommendations
Mhm.
from the sheriff's office in order for our commission to be effective and to help them in their plight.
Right.
And
So I think that would be a great question on what is going to come out of this task force. What is the purpose of this task force? What reports will be curated? What reports will you be using in this task force? And we have 2 commissioners that are going. Are they going to be given recommendations, as Rob is saying, to be brought back to us to take to the Board of Supervisors? So in this task force, will we get conclusions such as this was looked into, this death was investigated, this is where there may have been issues, or maybe there's procedural things that need to be clarified. This is what we're gonna do moving forward. This is how this is where we need help, and then they could bring that back to us.
I've dealt with other counties on the with these criminal offenses, federal, state, and local agencies. And I understand the collective investigative procedures that are done, and everybody that works in the investigation contributes either an investigative report or a recommendation. What I'm trying to find out, which is pretty simple, okay, is we have a coroner in this county that's a separate elected official and not the sheriff, okay? So we have the sheriff's office that does the investigation. We have the DA's office that does the investigation. And then, of course, the coroner's office has an investigative unit that does the investigation. So one, is there a coroner's inquest that will classify this death or the other 6 deaths that were done in the jail?
Okay, pause. Can you answer that question?
So I think that what you offered in that last piece of communication is absolutely a possibility, and I would imagine that those kind of things are going to be discussed, and that if there are any best practice things that are identified or changes or opportunities, I would think that that is a big part of the direction that the task force will take.
Okay.
Or the committee
Mhm.
will take.
And then on the coroner's, you just want to know, you want information on the coroner's report. Do you have any information on the
Well,
coroner's report?
Who makes the final determination relative to, well, to this death and all the other 6 that were done?
In terms of whether or not they're criminal or what? When you
Yeah, I'm
say
still
the
confused
decision-
by that.
Well, how is the coroner's office, this particular death, how is the coroner's office going to classify it? And does the coroner's office take the full responsibility of the classification of the death?
Do you know how that's been done in the past?
I have an understanding of it, but I think
We should look into.
I don't know that it's appropriate for me to start
Gotcha.
speculating or
Gotcha.
opining on behalf of the coroner's office, the
Yep.
DI's office, or anyone else. I mean,
Mhm.
can certainly, yeah, I think I should just leave it at that.
No worries. Yes, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I can chime in.
Okay.
The coroner's office will make a determination on the cause of death. So that's how it works. The district attorney's office will make a determination as to whether or not there were criminal actions that need prosecution as a result of the death. And the sheriff's office will conduct an investigation to determine what happened. They'll also conduct an investigation to determine whether or not there are actions that they should take to remediate or to mitigate the possibility of this happening again in the future. So there's overlaying investigations. In addition, as Tara was indicating, there's actually a role for the state now. After the passage of SB 519, the state has in custody death inspector that conducts an investigation and provides information regarding the ultimate cause of death as well. So there's at least 4 layers of investigation, including the state now.
Thank you, Adam. I understand with the last presentation that the captain did for us that the state has that type of investigative authority where they look into these deaths. What I'm trying to, I understand all these investigations are all together. Okay, everyone contributes an investigative report or whatever you want to call it, summary, and then the ultimate responsibility goes, is it now with the state where the state makes that classification, or is it the coroner's? The coroner is supposed to do, I believe, an inquest in San Mateo County, since some counties have the sheriff as the coroner also. our county is unique that it has a coroner that's separately elected, then the sheriff is not the coroner. Okay, so that's usually what happens in other counties I've dealt with. If the sheriff is the coroner, the sheriff, AKA coroner, makes that final determination. Here, we have a unique situation where the coroner is a separate elected official. So he or she, well, presently it's it's Bob Folkart, makes that determination. And there's an inquest that's done involving this death. And that's what I'm trying to find out, who the ultimate responsibility is. And then two is, I know we have the task force that's set up by the undersheriff to find out what recommendations that can be done. Was it staffing? Was the individual properly screened for drug paraphernalia or whatever? Was there enough people at inquest? And if the captain needs more people working that jail, we should make that recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. Right?
Yes, and so I think on this.
It's pretty simple.
Right, so I think on the second part, that's gonna happen. I mean, the first part I'm still a little confused about, but, go ahead, Rebecca.
Well, I just wanted to say, I thought that Adam's description was very clear.
Yes.
And there are 3 different steps to it, and
Yeah.
it's not just going to be one person who determines. There's different layers. Well, there are many decisions. There are many
Well,
decisions.
Rob,
to be
hold on,
made.
Rob. You've talked a lot. Let's let Rebecca finish without interruption. Rob, let's let Rebecca finish without interruption. Rebecca wasn't done talking. Rebecca wasn't done talking. Let's let Rebecca talk without being interrupted.
Yeah, just as I'm listening to this conversation, I thought that Adam's description was very clear, that there are a lot of decisions that are being made. There's not one decision, there's not one person. It's many different aspects of it. Part of what you're asking that has to do with what actually happened, it sounds like that's going to be the investigation that goes on with the sheriff's office, so that they know who, what, where, what all happened. And I think we've spent a lot of time just trying to understand this is complicated, and there's no one answer as far as I can see. So, I don't know, for me, the question that you asked was helpful, but I felt like Adam answered it. That's my understanding.
That is also my understanding, and
Let me just ask this as a clarifying question, please. Can I ask it as a clarifying? one?
Rob, please. Thank you. I think the confusion that I have is your confusion. I'm not understanding, because I feel like the question you asked was a helpful question. I feel like it's been answered. We also got clarification on how the recommendations are going to come in. And I think that's the big thing that you're looking for, and that we're all looking for, is how do we get recommendations so that we can help to ensure that these things don't happen again. I think if you have any more questions, so we can move on with the agenda, I think we're putting those in email and sending those to Adam and Emma, so we can get those clarifying. You still have more clarification, they can get those to you, but I'm going to move on to public comment.
Well, I don't think it's been actually clarified relative to who makes the final decision.
Okay, and I think
Okay,
that's
and then that's what we'll have to go back to. Okay, thank you.
no problem. But I think to get your answers, we'll do that, because I think this is more a offline conversation so that you get your answers. We can go on a public
I
comment.
totally disagree. Totally disagree.
Okay, so 1 second. I always treat you with respect. So I'm just asking you, hold on, let me finish.
No, I'm saying I want, okay, a clarification as to who has the final determination relative to this death, okay? And I haven't really heard that, is it going to be a coroner's inquest? Does the coroner make the final decision? That's all I'm asking. It's pretty simple.
So what I'm gonna say is that I always treat you with respect. And I'm just asking for that same respect back as chair. You voted me in as chair. I'm trying to run a meeting to the best of my capacity, and that when I'm speaking or other people are speaking, that you not interrupt or not continue talking when your time is done. So again, I'm going to turn it over to public comment.
Sorry, technical difficulty.
Do you have any in-person?
Yes, we have two public comments. Nancy Goodman, you may come up to the podium.
Nancy Goodman, Redwood City with Fix in San Mateo County. And I'm also saddened by the deaths, and I think Rob did ask a good question, and I agree Adam answered it well. Every death has to have some kind of cause. The coroner says, what's the cause? Then the DA says, was any crime involved in this? Different than the cause. DA has to weigh in. And then the sheriff, thank you for putting together a task force, can look at what could be improved. But I mostly wanted to say, this is much bigger than the jail. This is a system problem. The county supervisors need to address this. And I know that we have representatives from the county executive office. We cannot lay this at the feet of the jail staff. They are overworked. They have trainees on the job, and they are understaffed. So the majority of people in our jail, the sheriff has said, have either a drug or alcohol program, a mental health program, or both. Deaths in jail in California are rising, and that is why the state passed a law to bring somebody in to look at it from the state level. And they're adding, the governor asked that they add mental health support to that job. Her name that is doing that is Allison Gantner. Fixon had her come and talk to us a few months ago at one of our Zoom meetings, but she can only look at deaths that happened after July 2024, which is 2 of our 7 deaths. The jail should not be a drug detox unit. It should not be a mental health treatment facility. All over the country, this is happening. It's not just us, and it's not our jail's fault. It's not anyone's fault, so to speak, except for the fact that we do not have treatment. We have now got program services by Star Vista closed, Caminar is closed from programs. We don't have good diversion options. Behavioral Health Commission recommended a couple of years ago that the county set up a 24-hour crisis stabilization response to divert people in crisis from the jail so they won't be treated in the jail. And we could use the youth service center, which is 3/4 empty, secure and solid, and let people have a medical wing in that. And this is the kind of recommendation I hope that you can consider making to the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We do have another speaker card, Trina Patton. You may come up to the podium.
Good evening. I'm Trina Patton from Belmont and also with Fix in San Mateo County. And I've been hearing about this task force for a while now, and I'm still confused as to what it is, what it's for, what it plans to do. And we've now had a 7th death in the jail since 2023. And I know as a member of the community, I want to know why. I want to know why people are dying in the jails. I'm not looking for fault. I'm looking to really see if there's something different the sheriff's office should be doing, looking for when they bring people in. I don't know, but if there can be preventative measures. So yes, I know the coroner, the DA, the sheriff's office all have their thing to do, and now the state office has its thing to do as well. But then I think the next step is the part of the transparency I'd like to see is, when does the community get to know what's happened? What are we doing? How are our tax dollars being used to make the situation better and maybe have some preventative measures put into place? So I would really like to hear a clearer idea of what this task force is and how it will be used to work with the community to help make our jails a safer place for the people who are in there. We have a responsibility to them while they're in there. So thank you.
And we do have one hand raised. Bill Newell, you may begin when you're ready.
Thank you. I too am incredibly saddened by 7 deaths in this jail now. So many of them are younger people. Of the first 6, 2 we know were by suicides and conditions that I think could have been responded to in a more proactive way that might have prevented the death. But it stated this is a much bigger issue than simply the jail itself. We know deaths in California are rising in the jails. Overall, in this country, the lack of behavioral health treatment has led us to use jails and prisons as de facto drug or mental health institutions, which is just not appropriate and doesn't work. We know the jail have drug or mental health issues or both. Using the jail as some kind of drug detox, drug treatment, or mental health facility does not work. And we see that reflected in the deaths. A permanent inspector general who can look at these issues, working with jail staff to look at needed staffing levels. ICAC can recommend to the county that the county look broadly at creating more treatment services to replace jail cells, including diversionary options for those in crisis, such as 24/7 crisis stabilization centers, which we know has previously been recommended by our Behavioral Health Commission. We don't have to look any further than some of the expertise we have right in our own county. And finally, I would say, I would recommend that there be some kind of screening process up front initially when people are first taken into the jail to see exactly what their health conditions are, what their risks are, and how those should be addressed rather than having to do a task force or something else to figure this out. Thank you.
Thank you. There are no more public comments.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments? Go ahead.
Yeah, if I may. So I am,
Oh,
let's see. I'll try this one. Okay. I'm a little disappointed that not more has happened with the task force. I mean, I think it was announced, the formation was announced 4 or 5 months ago. I think members were selected, or a member was selected, 2 members were selected, I think have attended, and I think the sheriff's office needs to give this more attention and priority, because I think the task force is there, there are members there that are interested, willing to participate, but they're not being given the opportunity. It's just way too slow, in my opinion, in terms of what's happened. And I think, whether it's the other distractions that are happening that are preventing that from happening, so the sheriff is kind of slow playing this and the rest of the sheriff's staff is not being given the opportunity to do that. But I think I'm just incredibly disappointed that nothing has really happened, other than there have been a couple of meetings where nothing has really happened. And I think you have great people. Our 2 members are great people for that task force. I think it needs to be given much more priority. And enough said. Thanks.
thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay, so I too hope that the task force will meet sometime soon, that the meetings will be transparent, open to the public. It would be great to know who else is on the committee with them. How many members from the community are involved, any other offices are involved. Because I think it'll be helpful to help us see what guidance that we're going to get from this committee. And I know, is it a committee or is it a task force? The name. Okay, so It is a committee. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so I just want to make sure too that we're calling it the right name. Um, so just, I know, that there's a lot on the proverbial plate of the sheriff's office right now from a lot of different factors, but having a sense of urgency around this particular issue because of the life and death nature of it. And as was stated earlier in the presentation, we know that that weight is just going to increase because of so many different things that are being criminalized now. Homelessness is starting to be criminalized. Mental health is already criminalized. As a speaker stated before, we're using our prison systems to help people who have drug issues and not really help, but that's where we're placing them. So with the laws that have been passed in California, more and more people are being placed into our prison system instead of other systems for what I consider to be health issues. And while I do a lot of things to help work on that, that's the long term. In our short term, what needs to happen in order to better support you so that you can support those in your walls? And so that's what I'm hoping comes out of this committee. And any help or support that you need from us to maybe help get the wheels moving on this faster, please let us know. Okay, so with that, I am going to move on to item number 8, which is again with our sheriff's office, and it's a follow-up discussion on the elevator repairs in McGuire Correctional Facility.
Thank you very much. Again, my name is Captain William Fogarty. I asked, as Commissioner Solano asked me to do, to talk to the DPW to have them participate tonight, and they unfortunately are unavailable to participate. I do need to let you know that DPW has now had a different elevator maintenance company hired. They officially started yesterday, 8:30 in the morning, and they're there till 4:30 at night. They again were there on site today from 8:30 in the morning till 4:30 at night as well. They're confident they will be able to get the elevator up and running. However, I'm going to be quite transparent. They do not have a timeline of when it is that's going to be up and running. I've asked repeatedly for it, and we have continued to have daily meetings as well. So just to be very clear, elevator 3, which is a visitor elevator, is under maintenance. It has not been functioning. That is the maintenance company who's been trying to provide the service before was unavailable to provide the service and actually stopped providing the service. And so we have another elevator company maintenance that is now doing it. I also want to just clarify, I think there might be some confusion about when the elevator replacement is going to occur. So the elevator replacement will occur starting in December. They will also be starting with elevator 3, which is the visitor elevator. It will take approximately 14 weeks per elevator, and all 4 elevators will be getting replaced. So I, again, am happy to say elevator 3, which is a visitor elevator, will be the first one that's going to be getting replaced. Currently, the company that'll be taking that on is trying to source all the materials. I'm sure you're all aware of tariffs and how that's impacting our operations. Now the federal government shut down, I'm also concerned about being able to source those materials as well. They're also getting the necessary permits. They're also getting the necessary security clearances for people and also finishing the logistics. So currently in December, I believe the second week of December, we'll start the whole project, and that'll be the complete revamp of elevator 3. In the meantime, we're still trying to repair elevator 3. We'll continue to keep doing that. The technician is going to be on site Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, or approximately 9 to 5, in this case, 8:30 to 4:30 every day until we have a solution in place. And again, I met with them today. They explained to me that they do believe they can find a solution to it. I'm happy to report the motor is functioning. I'm happy to report that the video is functioning inside the elevator. It simply is the programming of the board, which is why I reported out on the last meeting, was the programming is the concern. So the person who's there has experience working on this kind of elevator. And so I'm pretty confident that he will be able to get up and running. But again, I do not have a timeline, and I don't believe in making false promises to people as well.
Thank you. Opening up to any questions from the commissioners? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Sorry. Thank you for that. Unfortunately, I wasn't here at the last meeting to hear what the report was. I did read the minutes and stuff, but is it not possible to use a different elevator for visitors or repurpose a different elevator while this is occurring, or?
So that'd be correct. We're unable to go ahead and do that. It's part of the secure facility. There's only one elevator that was designed for visitor entrances. My other concern is obviously, given incidents that have occurred within our facilities within the last week and continue to keep occurring, it makes it quite difficult to bring people into our facility who would have to get jail clearances, further subjecting them to searches because everyone who comes into our facility is subject.
No, I get it. I just, that you answered it in the first soundbite was all I needed.
Okay.
And because that question has come up. And so I think hearing that, totally understand that. Secondly, so if I understand, elevator 3 hopefully will be operational in the near future, whenever that is possible to figure out the bug and get it fixed. But then in December, or whenever they have all the parts, the permits, everything ready to go, then elevator 3 is going to be taken down again for 14 weeks while it's replaced.
You are correct, sir.
And then, okay, thank you.
Anyone else with questions? Go ahead, Sharon.
I have a question, Paul.
I just have a question, and that is, have we ever thought about perhaps having an architectural review where the visiting rooms could be on the ground floor? Because elevators are always going to be a problem. But, you know, and maybe move some of the things that are on the ground floor because there's secure people upstairs.
We have actually discussed that along with the elevator consultants. The problem is, again, that facility on the first floor is not designed for that. There really is no room that's available to it. And actually, it would create a potential ADA violation to go ahead and have people with the one room that was there be able to come in and visit people. So I'm currently working on that issue as well right now with the one room that's actually the bail window that we use. And it's what we currently use for people to be able to try and bail out of service that I cannot put that out of operation right now.
Go ahead, Rob.
Thank you. Well, thank you for getting one running. It must be really frustrating dealing with Public Works when you don't really, from the last meeting, you basically said that you rely on the county Public Works in order to repair these things, and you have to go through them, correct?
I do have to go through DPW.
So my question is, are you getting the proper support from Public Works in order to maybe speed up the process relative to getting those other elevators down? Are you satisfied with the services that they're giving you?
I think that there are opportunities to move to a different elevator maintenance facility. Definitely is helping the process. I will tell you that I think they're trying to do the best job we can, and they are also stretched thin with all the other properties that the county has purchased. And so it makes it very difficult and challenging to them, but they are trying to do the best job they can.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioner comments or questions? Open up for public comment.
Okay, members of the public, if you wish to speak on item number 8, you may use the raise hand feature or submit a public comment card. We do have 2 hands raised. Oh, 3. We'll begin with Ana Ramirez. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Again, this is Ana Ramirez, community organizer with Silicon Valley Debug. We are a community organization that currently supports community members who have loved ones that are incarcerated. And so we have, because of the work that we do, heard a lot of, the experiences from folks who have loved ones on the inside and the impact that not having access to in-person visits has had not only on them, obviously, like as someone that can go in and see their loved one, but also for folks that are on the inside. And so I think it's kind of difficult, to be honest, that we can find a better solution to the 14-month repair that there is. And also the other ideas that have been brought up today too about potentially moving the in-person visits to a different place, that's not an option. But I think that even now, right, like the fact that the elevator is not available, I don't know how that is not necessarily breaking like disability, like ADA compliance. I think that there should be more attention paid, to the experiences of people that are incarcerated and also their families who, once again, I think like when I talk about building a community of hope, being able to have those in-person visits is what brings hope to a lot of folks that are inside and can also bring a connection, I think, to, your family members, your support network, and you can't do that if you don't have any in-person visits. We know obviously that there is access to tablets, but that should not be the only solution to addressing this issue. I think that the sheriff should be able to come up with a different way. And I think oftentimes like the issue of safety is always brought up when we know that, sometimes like the individuals that are bringing stuff into the jails are not family members or others, right? So I think we should be paying more attention to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next speaker will be Bill Newell, followed by Stuart Highland. Bill, you may begin when you're ready.
Hi, thank you. It's Bill Newell, member of Coalition for a Safer San Mateo County. And again, I want to second what you just heard about safety, but also community needs and the needs for inmates to have access to family and friends. I heard from that the county executive Calgary last week, September 23rd, said that the visitor elevator should be replaced by December, much shorter than the March 2026 timeline we heard from the undersheriff last month. I also want to thank the jail captains for transferring people to Maple Street when possible, where in-person visits are allowed, as well as offering to facilitate individual visits at McGuire when possible, but it doesn't really sound like that's happening. However, we can't lose sight that before there was a breakdown, there were at least 20 in-person visits a day back in May at the McGuire jail, and the lack of visits is an enormous burden, increasing isolation and stress for incarcerated people and their families, as we've already noted several times. It's really, I would say, almost scary to know about the conditions you have at that McGuire jail with the elevator. What the heck is going to happen if there's an emergency when the building has to be evacuated? How is that going to happen in a safe manner? What about, as was mentioned before, ADA regulations? There just seems to be all kinds of access problems that continued, that don't seem to have an urgent solution to them. And yet it cries out for it. I think we can do better. Thank you.
Thank you. 1 second before we do the next one. Just want to clarify something. This is what I remember and what I had in my notes. At the last meeting, Chief Fogarty said that the timeline to fix all of the elevators was the March. And that, so people are saying that it's been a clarification of the timeline, and that that the elevator will be fixed in December instead of March. But I think people are remembering incorrectly that you gave that timeline for all the elevators to be fixed.
I'm sorry if I gave that representation.
You didn't. You did not. I'm thinking people were just, something was recorded wrong. But at the last meeting, just so folks are clear, the timeline you gave, that the March date is for all elevators to be fixed.
No.
No, I was like, what is the date?
So the date when they're finally all fixed is January 2027.
I mean, sorry, January 2027.
And each elevator will take approximately 14 weeks according to the timeline that was provided to me.
Okay, so then it was my error. Then I took the meeting notes wrong. Okay, thank you, Trina. No, okay. So then December now is December the date for the visitor elevator to be fixed? Is that correct? The start date, right? Not to be fixed. Okay, so I just want to make sure those dates are clear with everybody. So December is when they're starting the work. It's going to be 14 weeks. So the end date could still be like around, well, for the first one, around March.
That's correct.
Okay, so now, okay, just so everybody's clear. Got it. Thank you. All right, go ahead.
Next speaker is Stuart Highland. You may begin when you're ready.
Hi, my name is Stuart Highland. I live in East Palo Alto, and I have a loved one in McGuire at this time, waiting resentencing. I'm glad that the chair pointed that out in case there was any confusion. We're still talking about March 2026 because if the work begins in December and it's 14 weeks, that gets you to 3 months, gets you to March 2026. before elevator number 3 is completed. So we still have a problem. I appreciate the ingenuity that the sheriff's folks, staff have presented, trying to think of what workaround would work. So the one suggestion I would have is possibly a monthly in-person visit for McGuire folks if they were transported to Maple, where you can have in-person visits. At least once a month would go a lot further than the video visits, which I've been taking advantage of pretty regularly, and my family as well, but still not even close to the same thing. As one person spoke earlier, that little caption of just seeing just barely more than like the top of the forehead and the chin is not much. And the slightest movement and you lose the screen. So if we can be thoughtful about it and come up with another way for at least a 1 month visit, especially during this, if I count now, October through March, that's about 6 months without an in-person visit. Yeah, we can do better. I'm sure we can do better and stay within the rules of safety that the sheriff's department is trying to maintain. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes public comment.
Great. Are there any other comments on this item? No? Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, moving on, follow-up for the discussion from the September 9th meeting on the recommendation to improve the citizens' complaint form, including the process timeline. So back to the sheriff's office. Thank you so much.
Madam Chair, thank you. I have an old school analog aid here that I'm going to pass around to all the commissioners before I get started. Passing it down. All right, good evening, everyone. So I wanted to start with one of the issues that was addressed at the last meeting, which was there were 2 complaint forms. There was one that had a blue header at the top of it, and it had the address of 400 County Center at the bottom. That form was not the current or valid form that the sheriff office uses. It was an old form that was contained on the website under PDF online, a page that was, if you searched for this form, that would pop up. So what we've done about that, first we confirmed that the second form that was discussed, which had the gold and blue banner on the top with the current address at 330 Bradford Street, that's the current form. If anybody from the community wants to provide a compliment or file an employee complaint, if you go to the website, there's a section that says online references. If you go down to either commend an employee or file an employee complaint, it's the same form. It's an old school form that you have to fill out, print, and then mail in. But that is a current form. So knowing that that is there, this old form with the blue header is going to be gone. I was told that it would be removed possibly today, if not tomorrow. But again, the current form remains on the website. The current form also, I think part of what the sheriff wants this process to be is that anyone should be able to get a complaint form without speaking to anyone. You should be able to walk into any sheriff's facility and get that form and take it. It should be readily accessible without having ask anyone a question, because some people might feel uncomfortable asking questions. So you can just get it and walk out of the office with it. The same thing goes for the access of that form. So what I gave to all of you, to the chair, the vice chair, and the commissioners tonight, is one of the things that's a work in progress now is the sheriff's office wants to make access to these forms online more intuitive and more in keeping with modern practices and technology to make it easy. So instead of having a long form that you have to go through and kind of read everything that's, what it's about. There's one of 5 different icons, and they're all pictured here. They include being able to go directly to the compliment or complaint about an employee form. They include being able to ask for an individual member of the sheriff's office supervisor's information so that you could contact that person. There's another section for contacting the assistant sheriff by email about any employee for a compliment or for a complaint about their conduct or performance. And then finally, another icon that would take somebody looking to access this information to the county's whistleblower program. So one of the improvements that we're looking to make, the sheriff's office is looking to make with the current form, is if we want to have it where somebody who accesses the form can complete it and then submit it, like you can in so many other instances when you're ordering something, or even as an example, on the sheriff's office website now, there's a section for boot camp, and anybody who's interested in joining the sheriff's office boot camp can provide their information and then hit a submit button. Once that button is clicked, that information gets sent to the appropriate people in the sheriff's office who then process the request. So the goal is to have the current form, the old school paper analog form, online in that format where somebody would fill it out and then click submit, and that would go to the appropriate person for processing. The other thing that needs to happen, not only for the online form, but for the forms that are available in the stations, in the patrol bureau stations, and at headquarters, is that the forms online now are only in English. So those need to be translated and then put online so that they're accessible in that manner as well. And that's, I believe, where we're at with the complaint form, compliment complaint form at this time. And the getting the translation done will not be, I think, the bigger part of the work that needs to get done for this form. The bigger part will be getting the form in that format where you can submit it and it gets routed to the right people. Not that it can't be done or that it's going to take a year, but that is somebody that the sheriff's office uses with, we have an entity that works on the web page for us. So they will be responsible for completing that work, and it's a fairly straightforward form. So we don't anticipate a lot of trouble with getting that done once they're translated. And that's the update that I have for that, if anybody has any questions.
I have a question about, because I'm looking at the notes from last month, and it says that the complaint goes to the Professional Standards Bureau. And is that within the sheriff's office?
The Professional Standards Bureau is within the sheriff's office.
So there's no place that a complaint can go outside of the sheriff's office? The investigation only occurs within the sheriff's office?
Yes, Commissioner, that's right. That's how it is right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Undersheriff. It looks pretty good. The only thing is the anonymous submissions. It says whistleblower program. Where does that go? The whistleblower, is it general county? Who's in charge of that? Thank you.
That's where I believe it goes. I think Mr. Eli can tell you who it goes to.
Yeah, the whistleblower ones go to the county attorney's office and human resources.
That's right. And the whistleblower are just internal employees. It's not outside citizen complaints, correct?
Correct.
Thank you, Undersheriff. Is this what's going to be on the website? This actually, is it going to look like that?
So this is a draft proposal. This is what we're working with right now. And I believe this is how it's going to look on the website.
So one of my suggestions would be, instead of that one, fill out our form, which means nothing. If you had up there, because I was looking everywhere on this for where do you complain, and then I realized it was under that. So it might be better to just title that little block compliment/complaint.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll pass that suggestion on.
So just so I get clarification, so the current forms that are on the site right now are gonna be removed and replaced with this for, okay, yeah.
Yes, yes, Chair.
They're
That's-
gonna be removed.
Well, yes,
Two different forms. Well, there's two, yeah, there's two different forms on the website right
right. And the one that's not correct, or the one that's no longer current,
now.
that has 400 County Center,
Mhm.
that's going to be removed. It might
Mhm.
even be gone at this
Okay.
moment. But the new form,
Mhm.
this will link
To the new form.
people from, anybody who wants to access this will link them to that.
Mhm.
But the form that exists now will be reconfigured so that you can submit it as opposed to completing it, needing to fill it out, put it in an envelope and mail it somewhere.
That was gonna be my question. So you could do everything online?
Yes,
And is it being tested? Because sometimes something on your computer works, but it doesn't work on your phone.
that's a good question. I don't
Okay.
know the answer to that, but I will raise that with our technology folks.
Okay, great,
Um,
because there's a lot of folks that don't have laptops, but are everyone has a cell phone.
In one version of this, there was I saw a QR code, which I thought might have been related to the phone, but we'll check that as well.
Also, Sheriff, is there a word limit on some of these forms? A word limit or word count or limitations for,
I think in the old form, there might have been. On the new one, Commissioner, I'm not certain, but that's something for us to keep in mind so that there's no limit. Within reason,
Or a big limit.
or big limit, yeah.
So the talk to a supervisor. So if somebody, again, is this a button to click?
Yes, sir.
And so when you click the button, then what happens? Is it gonna give you the ability to look up the name of the person, so you get the name of the supervisor, so you can click to the supervisor, or what's gonna happen?
This is also a great suggestion. I think that the way it's set up, that it's currently envisioned to be configured, is the person would enter the name of the employee, and then they would be contacted by somebody from the sheriff's office to be provided with the information.
Okay.
So I don't know that there's a search feature.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Shirley.
So I'm just a little confused again, because you've got the, this is for the general public. If this is for the general public, why do we have the whistleblower program on there?
Is it because it's on the website and it's just one place for everybody to go? But I hear your point. That maybe-
Yes, I mean, my understanding is it's an independent source to send feedback or input about the sheriff's office to. I mean, that's how it's configured right now. And again, this is a draft. I see Mr. Eli's reaction. I'm probably a little off here about, I don't know that was, I think we need to figure out if that's necessarily supposed to be confined or intended for just employees in the strictest sense of a whistleblower, because you're right. But I think part of this is to, again, make the accessibility of this thing very easy, and also keep it in an anonymous fashion.
Right. I mean, to Shirley's point, if it's open to the general public, people from the public are gonna click on it and fill it out. Yeah, so.
So I'm happy to take a look at this. I haven't had much of a chance to review it, and just make sure that we're all coordinated with regards to how these complaints should be funneled, and look at the language, along with the sheriff's office, just to make sure that this is operating in a way that makes sense.
So, but I do think it probably would be important to enable people to make anonymous submissions, but it may not be then going to the whistleblower program because, again, I think that's an internal employee program specifically. But I think if there could be an anonymous, and then the question is, where do they go and how are they handled and how are they reported out, and what's the how do you follow up, and do you do a public follow up? How does an anonymous person know that it's ever been investigated? And I think it's going to need some thought, but would be good to have an ability to make an anonymous complaint.
Anything? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Rebecca.
Could you just give a little description of who is in the Professional Standards Bureau? Like, who are those people?
Sure. So we have people that are involved in recruiting. PSB also housed sergeants and lieutenant who are responsible for internal affairs investigations of complaints, vehicle accidents, the administration of all of that. But recently that's been separated out of the Professional Standards Bureau, so now it's more human resources, recruiting, retention, bringing people on board, sending messages out to all sheriff's office personnel about all matters of things, position openings. This month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, recognized by a lot of law enforcement agencies, including the sheriff's office. So today, someone in the Professional Standards Bureau sent that out. We also have a management analyst who keeps track of staffing, position openings, and again, getting that information out to not only people in the sheriff's office, but working with human resources to make those announcements and make sure those things are posted as well.
How many people are on that bureau?
Six, I believe. There's 6 people there now, just in professional standards, and then we have another one, soon to be 2, for internal affairs, which was formerly under that umbrella.
So when they receive a complaint, one person on that bureau is assigned this and then they look into it, or how do they actually do an investigation?
When it goes to internal affairs, it'll get reviewed and then it will get assigned based on the type of incident that it is. For something like a citizen's complaint, it might go to the person's sergeant, first line supervisor, to look at. For things that are more complicated or involves a lot of people, it might go to a sergeant or a lieutenant. And then there's other things that eventually might go to an independent party to investigate on behalf of the sheriff's office.
I have another question. So is this their only job, or they have other responsibilities and then they meet at some designated time if something comes up? Is this their only job?
Or in terms of the investigations piece of it?
No, the people that you mentioned, sergeants, lieutenants, administration, human resources, is this Professional Standards Bureau their only job, or are they doing other things?
Right.
And, yeah.
No, Commissioner, that is their primary assignment. And there, in the past 2 years, the sheriff's hired more than 200 people. I want to say, I don't want to give you the wrong number, but there's been a large number in that. There's a lot involved with that, so it is a more than a full-time job for the folks in professional standards.
Okay.
Being part of the law enforcement family, as I am, we had worked together. I know Sergeant Fama is on admin leave, and there was a lieutenant that is not there anymore. So who's actually running the internal affairs or your unit now?
Internal Affairs is under Lieutenant Ben Hand.
So they've been reassigned or whatever. There've been new assignments.
So I can't.
So there's someone working in there now.
There's someone
Okay.
there now.
All right,
and
great.
that
That's all.
lieutenant reports to the assistant sheriff.
Yeah, because I know the other two had left. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments or questions?
Okay, members of the public, if you wish to speak on item number 9, please use the raise hand feature or submit a public comment card. We have 3. We have Nancy Goodman. You may begin when you're ready.
Me again, but it'll be quick. Thank you for looking at those changes. It makes so much sense to make it a fillable form that you can put in online in multiple languages. And one thing I noticed, it might have been on the obsolete form, but it says citizen complaint, and I think it should say civilian complaint, because we want non-citizens to feel welcome to make a complaint. It's maybe a technical term for law enforcement to call all of us who aren't sworn citizens, but not everyone is in our country. But the biggest thing I think is, has brought up by a couple of commissioners, I think we really need an outside independent way to investigate complaints. Other counties use their inspector general, which you've recommended to the Board of Supervisors, to do that. And then I've seen reports where they do their annual report and they say, okay, we received like 20 complaints, we investigated 15 of them, 4 of them were substantiated, 5 were unfounded. And they report what the complaints are, and they write it in the Inspector General writes it in their annual report. So it's very transparent, and I think that is helpful. I'm speaking as a volunteer in Fixin San Mateo County. We have people, I'd say 4, 5 people at least have come to me personally and said they had a concern about something that happened to them with the sheriff's office. And I even talked to the sergeant one and said, this is the internal affairs sergeant, and the kid said, no, I don't want to talk about it. I'm worried about retaliation. They threw me off my bike and beat me up. They know where I live. I was right outside my house. They could do it again. And bless his heart, the internal affairs sergeant said they wouldn't do that. But I couldn't convince the kid of that fact. So we need someone outside the sheriff's office. And it's not because the sheriff's office is bad people. It's because the community needs someone independent that they can trust, and the inspector general would serve that function.
Thank you.
Okay, next speaker, Trina Patton. You may come up to the podium.
Thank you again. So no surprise, I am a big fan of removing the complaint process from the sheriff's office. I think it needs to be held outside of the sheriff's office for obvious reasons. People don't want to complain to this entity that may have arrested them or harassed them or who they have a complaint about. And in the spirit of transparency, I also think an outside entity is needed. Even before everything was happening with what's going on with the sheriff now, there wasn't a lot of trust. There hasn't been a lot of trust between the community and the sheriff's office. And I think it's only gotten worse because of everything going on. And so I don't think we can rely on the sheriff's department to tell us the truth about what people are complaining about. And thinking about the movement on the death task force and how long that's taken, I can't imagine they'd be willing to move quickly on these complaints and investigating the complaints and letting us know how things are moving along those lines. And I also want to note that all this is going on now with the current sheriffs when the deputies had complaints. And it became an issue when the complaints left the sheriff's office. That's when action was taken. And the civilians of this county deserve that same recognition. Their complaints matter too. Sheriff's office can keep the compliments, that's fine. But this county needs to be able to say that we do investigate our complaints about our sheriff's office separately from the office because we want everybody to do well. And I think there's an idea that it's just about weeding out bad cops. And I'd say, and this is not my original thought, somebody else said but it's not about bad cops, but it's about good governance. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next speaker card is Donna Johnson. You may come up to the podium.
Thank you. It's Dana Johnson. I identify with they and he pronouns. And I thank the commissioners also for bringing up a lot of interesting comments about this. My first thing is, honestly, I feel like maybe instead of saying civilian, could we probably say community members? For me, as a person that's identifying as African American, civilian is very triggering for me. So I would prefer community members because this is kind of what you're hearing this from. I also am hoping that when we're looking into the language and things of this, um, besides the wording, hopefully the gendering of folks correctly too. I think another group that is very fearful of the law enforcement, especially here, is the LGBTQIA plus community. And I see a big concern when reaching out and maybe making a complaint. And the first thing is most likely you are misgendered. Um, and then you think that it's not going to be taken seriously. So I don't know if that's anything that is like they have in their system. I don't know if there's ways that we can make sure of that, but I really highly encourage that if you're going to make it this way, to please make sure that you're looking at everything when you're looking at language and how that is actually being addressed. Um, my probably last thing would be, um, how long do they plan to keep the complaints like in their space? What happens to them after a certain amount of time? Where do they go to? If they don't address the complaints, who are they elevated to, and what happens with that? And I'm really with Commissioner, is it McClure? I really agreeing with you with the anonymous piece. Anonymous sounds very scary if you have a complaint.
So we don't have an awkward time at home. That's your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have three hands raised on Zoom. We'll begin with Bill Newell, followed by Noble Truth Seeker.
Yeah, once again, as it's previously been noted, the most important change is that we need to have independent channels for the complaints outside the sheriff's office. As it's already been noted in other counties, a permanent inspector general provides that forum, and that's clearly what's needed now in San Mateo County. We need to have a mechanism for follow-up to complaints, to know what happens when somebody raises a concern. And it has to be done in a spirit of accountability and, as was noted before, transparency, so that it's known what the accountability is for a concern when it gets raised, and what's the transparency for knowing what the result was of what the concerns that have been raised. I would say, as a member of the community, as someone who's done work with Fixin in community forums, community tabling, just about every time we're out with the community, trying to learn from them, we have people who come to us and say, I don't feel like I can raise my concerns. I don't know where to raise my concerns with the sheriff's office because I'm not comfortable having those concerns and complaints taken back to the sheriff's office. It clearly needs to be independent, and that's the message that we've heard for years now from our community engagement that we've done in various communities all over the county. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Minor technical difficulty, but the next speaker will be Noble Truth Seeker.
On the foreign language form, I just want to encourage whoever's handling it to make sure that one person does the translation from English to the other language. I'll use Spanish as an example, and someone different translates the same form back from Spanish to English, because a lot of things get lost in translation, and by having multiple people involved in reviewing the translations, that's the best way to catch mistaken translations of idioms and poor word choices and poor phrasing. And I agree with a lot of the points that were already made about the ombudsman being involved and about there being a way for people to express their concerns outside the sheriff's office. As someone who's been trying to get accountability for something that happened with me involving multiple sheriffs a year and a half ago, and I don't have their names or their badge numbers, and I'm getting basically roadblocked trying to get the information in order to file the complaint. And I'm not comfortable filing it with the sheriff's office and having it end up in a dead letter box. That's it.
Thank you. Last speaker will be Lourdes Best. You may begin when you're ready.
Hi, thanks everyone for being here. My name is Lourdes Best. I'm an East Palo Alto resident. I'm also organizer with Silicon Valley Debug. I just wanted to ditto some of the what some of the prior speakers said before me. I think we should encompass the community and call this community complaint. I think also it should be handled outside of the sheriff for transparency reasons. So I just wanted to make those comments, and thanks everyone for being here and being part of this process. I also wanted to note that I'm online and I didn't see anything as far as a visual when this was being presented. I just heard things, and I'm a visual learner, so just keep that in mind that some of us are visuals and we're not actually on site while this meeting is happening. But thank you and have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you. There are no more public comment.
So I'm glad that we're moving forward with this. I know, a lot of this I've reserved. I'm feeling about the whole process because I feel like it's a whole process, right? And this is just a fixing of the form. And now that the form is fixed, looking at how we handle other steps. Because true change that's meaningful takes a while and doesn't happen overnight. And so I think a lot of the items that were brought up today are things that we need to continue to bring up. Now that we have a form that possibly will be fixable and worked, where does that form go? What happens to the form? How's that reported back? Like, I feel like that's the next step of this process. And so I would like to continue having those conversations with you all. Unless there's any other comments, questions? Okay, I'm going to move on to our next item, which is the follow-up on the process of what should happen should the sheriff's position become vacant. So I just had this brought back because, as you remember, when we had our initial recommendations were both on the inspector general and having the community be a part of the process should the sheriff's position become vacant. But we took the community part out because the Board of Supervisors at that time, with the trial and everything happening, really didn't want to discuss that piece of our recommendation. But now that the trial is over and they're going to at some point have a meeting to discuss the results of the trial, and should it be that the position will become vacant, just bringing it back to go back and I could finish my presentation and do the second part. And if everyone is still okay with that, because we approved that presentation, the recommendation, I just didn't present on the community being part of the process piece. That makes sense. Oh yeah, that's right. Just really don't touch.
Thank you for sharing your microphone. I don't want to hear the screech again. I'm totally on board with that. That's exactly my recollection of what we did. We approved that, we recommended we go, and then it got separated essentially at the request of the board or input from staff and, you know, and the board that was premature to make that recommendation at that point in time.
Yes, go ahead, Rebecca.
Just a clarification question of what does it mean that the community would be part of the process?
So we're making a recommendation that the community be part of the process, and I had a few examples of what I had seen happen in other governance bodies. One that I had been a part of, some process that the community college used in replacing a leader in their organization. And that's what hopefully will, but the Board of Supervisors will be the ultimate decider on what it meant for, what it means for the community to be a part of the process. But I had a couple, and I could resend you the presentation where I had a couple of recommendations on things that I had seen that I thought worked well. Any other questions? Comments? Nope. Okay, great. Moving on, are there any announcements? Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait, we have to.
I just want to move super fast. If there's public comment, that's the important part of this. I'm sorry if you can go to public comment.
Do not have any public comments at the moment.
Nancy, did you want to make one? No?
Oh,
Okay.
actually, we do have one hand raised. Bill Newell, you may begin when you're ready.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know, I'm sorry, I don't know what the chair's specifics were on any kind of outline for what the role of the community would be in terms of a new sheriff. But I do know that there's a number of people in the community, and as part of the Coalition for Safer San Mateo County, I think we've submitted a petition that outlined the need for community input, and that should at least be in the form of a forum where members of the community can at least outline the kind of qualifications, background, and the needs that need to be looked at in terms of a replacement of a different sheriff. Number one would be what would be their receptivity to oversight and Inspector General. And that's just an example of one concern that a number of people in the community would want to know about in terms of the selection of a new sheriff. We also know that it could happen by appointment, or it could possibly go into an election. You know, there's several avenues that could occur, but if it's by appointment, the board has to at least be clear on what their process is and what their timeline is and how that'll happen with transparency and accountability. Accountability is with the county board, and the transparency is with the county board in terms of what that process is and how it's going to proceed, and where members of the community will have an opportunity to be part of that community participation process. So I'm just don't want to lose sight of that, and I'm hoping that your committee, your commission, the ICAC does not lose sight of that as well. Thank you.
There seems to be no more public comment.
Okay, great. So unless there's anything else, now I'm going to move on to, are there any other announcements from either our commissioners or liaisons? No? Okay, great. So I'm just going to quickly say, I want to thank everybody for their participation. I know there's a lot of passion around some of these topics, but I will again say what I said at the last meeting about righteousness versus trying to make a space where we can all work together to find answers. So I'm hoping that we can make sure that I'm going to say it's really hard to try to solve these complex problems after work. We've all had a full day, and I know my patience sometimes wears really thin, but I'm hoping that we can continue to treat each other with respect and continue working together so we can solve these problems. So thank you everyone for telling their truth and speaking their truth and for being here. And thank you to the Sheriff's Office for their continued participation. I'm very happy that we've had 2 really robust meetings with you all being here to respond to our questions and to answer us right away. I really appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Madam Chair, may I add something?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I just want to apologize. Maybe I came off a little strong, but, you know, just with, you know, like death number 7 kind of hit me emotionally. And, you know, having a 40-something years of law enforcement experience, you know, people shouldn't die in a holding or jail facility. I mean, you know, a death sentence for maybe a DUI or a misdemeanor, no one deserves that. And so, sorry, I got emotional relative to it. Thank you.
Totally understand. Completely agree. Thank you so much. Anyone else? No? Okay. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much, everybody.